Hey witches, so here's the first video that I'm doing in the little Beltane series, and I'll probably also put this in the playlist when I finish the Samhain playlist. So, what can you do to work beyond the veil? And this is not going to be working with the Fae. That's going to be a video that I'm going to put out tomorrow. But how can you work beyond the veil with the dead? This is going to be about necromancy, seances, and even necromancy to the point of how to control the dead. And I've never participated in that practice, nor do I intend to, but some of you might want to. You may be a little braver than me, so I'm going to share that with you too. So the first way would be to contact the dead. You can contact the dead through several ways. You can use a pendulum, and just ask questions. I have a pendulum video. I'll link it below. In the video, I actually made contact with my father. I use pendulums a lot, but I found a new favorite way of contacting the dead. That would be doing a seance. Now, you look at videos of seances, movies and of seances and everything, and it's just completely different. But if you wanted to do it solo, okay, if you had a group of people, the only difference is you combine all of your energies to have it. You don't have to join hands. Some people say it helps to recreate the energy, but think about it. I've had these sessions take up to 3 hours, and I don't want to hold anybody's damn sweaty hand for 3 hours. So, just remember that. You don't have to hold hands. But, so what you need to do is just, it doesn't matter if it's day, night, doesn't matter the day of the week, it doesn't matter. Everybody says, do it at nighttime, it doesn't fucking matter. Especially on Beltane when the veils are thin, and Samhain when the veils are thin, it doesn't matter. So, that's one way that the one thing that you can do to perform the seance is just sit in a quiet room. Doesn't matter what time of day. What I would do before is go ahead and cleanse out the room, or what I do actually, I'm going to tell you guys how I do it. So you cleanse out the room first with Palo Santo or mugwort, which is black sage. I don't like to use regular sage because it's confusing to spirits, because sage chases them away. So don't use regular sage. You can even use just some copal and put that on your charcoal disc and use that to cleanse with, or frankincense or myrrh incense, something like that. But do that, open a window, cleanse everything out, set the stage, light some candles, light some incense, that just really make it inviting, sort of like an evocation or invocation. Just set the environment up the best you can to please the spirit. Then you're going to start just kind of meditating, getting yourself grounded, getting yourself in the proper headspace to start to try to connect to the other side. So, and I'm not a medium or anything. They'll tell you that you have to have a medium for a seance. No, the fuck you don't. No, you don't. It helps. It's extremely helpful. And if any of you are mediums that would like to help me, I'll pay you good if you deliver. If you can deliver. But anyway, so, you just sit on the floor, surround yourself with candles. It makes it easy to detect spirit because you're going to ask them to blow out the candle. You can see the flames flicker. Make sure no vents are on them or anything. You can also see the flames turn blue if a spirit's present. So you want the candles around. I always have an offering. You may use whatever the person really loved to drink, or did they love cigarettes, their favorite food. Wine is always appropriate. It's just an appropriate offering. You could use flowers, whatever you want it to be. So have your offering ready. Have everything inviting. It also helps to have a picture of the person you're trying to contact, as well as something that was close to them, a physical object. If you had their ashes, that would work. If you wanted to do this at their grave site, you need to be careful. Practice graveyard safety. Make sure you cover your head and don't disrupt any of the other spirits. That's difficult during a seance. So I would advise against doing it in the graveyard, but people have had really good success. You can also use an app called GhostTube, and there's another one that's a free EVP recorder that you can get on your phone. And if you're using your phone for those couple of things that'll let the spirit speak through you, then it's okay to have the phone on. Otherwise, turn it off completely. So you're going to take those apps and just choose one of them and leave it running throughout your questioning part of this part so that you can review it. I suggest you record it because the last one I didn't record, and I wished I did because it had so many cool things in it that my mom said, and I just, I'll never forget what they were, but it was just every time it would go off and say a word, I would get the chills. All the hair on my body would stand up because it was the most relevant things in the world, exactly what I was feeling, the color of the item that I had put in the circle with me, everything. It was crazy. Anyway, so have those on, or that on, to pick up any words that they say, and then you're going to start calling in the person. So you start calling in the person by screaming almost their name. You want to. This works best when you're by yourself, like in the home, completely alone, because it's going to get loud. You need to yell their name loud, their first name, their middle name, their last name. Even try their maiden name if they were married. Whatever you need to try to do to get them to come into the space. Just keep saying, I call the spirit of, and say their name, to come into my space, blah, 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 and keep saying that over and over and over. Just keep yelling it. You can use things to help generate energy. You can set out a bowl of water and, help to raise energy from the water. The candles help. The incense can help. It's going to help. And then you could have some crystals around that help to connect with the dead. The best one is howlite. You can also use amethyst with this, but I would say that howlite would be your best choice. And there are a few herbs that you can add too, but keep contacting or trying to contact that spirit. The first time I did it took about 30 minutes till things started to change where I could feel something was happening, and it was a trip. So you can do a seance by yourself, and you should try one. If you need some closure, or you just feel like you need to just hear that person give you a message one last time, go for it. The next one is a Ouija board. It's sort of just like the pendulum. It just takes more force to move, so it's just harder to work with, but it can also be very accurate. Just make sure whoever you're playing with is of sound mind and body when you're doing any of these. You need to be careful, and I would advise against the spirit board by yourself just because of the movie The Exorcist. That's the only reason. I've done one by myself before. I mean, the pendulum is, you're doing the same thing. When you seance, you're doing the same thing, so I don't see why it really matters. But the movie of that always made me think, don't do that. So anyway, you can do that. Those are the best ways to contact the dead. You can also do what I'll do sometimes is I'll ask Mom to draw and to pick an oracle card for me, or give me a message through my oracle card deck, and I'll shuffle them and just focus on her and focus on that I want a message, usually just a message. I don't try to get her to answer a question with that deck because the way the messages are, it's really not conducive to that. But I'll just say, can I please have a message for the day, Mom? Or, Mom, what do I need to work on today? And I'll pull one, and it's always a card that's directly correlated to what's going on in this house, something that I need to deal with. So it's a trip. But you can also use the tarot. It's just a little more complex. You could just ask them to assist you with your spread, or to assist the cards in showing you, your future, or how to handle things in the present, or even questions about your past lives. I don't think they're allowed to give out that much information, but it wouldn't hurt, right? So you can do those things. And then I'm going to come back in just a sec with a part 2 about how to raise and control the dead. So I'll be right back with that, witches. So I want to add to the seance thing. So when you are doing your seance, if you have a medium, have that medium do some automatic writing or some automatic drawing, and then you'll have something tangible to hold on to from the seance. But if you're doing it solo, you can still attempt this. It may not work because, the medium can channel easier because they have that clear skill. But even if you don't, it is still possible. You can invite, just say this. For example, Mom, I ask that you use my energy. Use the energy of these flames. Use the energy of these elements before us. Tap into my personal energy. And then hold out your hands, both of them, and offer your energy to your beloved or your ancestor or whoever you're trying to contact. Offer up that energy. Say, use my energy. Channel through me. Use my body. Give me a message. And just keep repeating that over and over and over with your eyes closed and your hands out. Then after a few minutes, if you feel the energy shift within you a little, get out, have a pen and paper right beside you ready, or a little, I would have probably my book of mirrors right there, maybe my book of shadows. But I didn't do this last time, and next time I try to connect with my mom, I'm going to do this. But have that journal ready. And then when you feel that change, and you know that person is within you and tapping into your energy, have them give you a message through automatic writing or drawing, and just write or draw whatever you feel. And you can add that in too. And that makes it really, really special. And it might not work the very first time, but keep trying. Okay, now for the other part. So this is not like me. Typically, I don't do this since I've lost my mom. I have used more of, things like seances and done a little more pendulum work and a little more spirit board work and things like that, just because it does help. But you don't want to bother the shit out of the person. And they say to, sorry, I gotta catch my breath for some reason. Anyway, they say that when the person has been gone between, I think it's 3 and 6 months, that is the hardest to reach them, because it's like a sort of a transitional time. But it has not been 6 months for my mom. It's been 5. And at 5 months, I did reach her the first time. I did. I know I did. I know for 100% sure that I did. And it was fucking amazing. And I'm probably going to do it again at some point. Not right now. But Beltane. You're damn right I'm going to. I'm going to be in my tent at my festival with all my candles, and they're going to hear me yelling. I might even take a little hike to the woods so I can get some privacy. Because you do need to be loud, to kind of not command that spirit into your space, but to draw that spirit toward you, to call that spirit in. You want to say everything with authority. And I probably should have said this at the beginning, but I do have the video about the pendulum that I'm going to link, and it's pretty much the same statement. But you want to make sure after you have done your initial cleanse with your Palo Santo or your frankincense, incense, or your cauldron with your charcoal disc with your little resins on there, whatever you're using, not white sage, because very rarely will a ghost show up. They don't like it. It's confusing because it's a deterrent. That's like saying, go away, but can you please come here? Like, what the fuck are you asking me to do, right? So anyway, before you start anything, you want to, after you've done that cleanse with the window open, close the window. Before you start screaming and calling that person in, say something like, only beings of light and love are welcome into my home for this ritual. Only my mother, and then her name, is welcome in this ritual. Or only spirits that serve my highest purpose and my highest self are welcome. Just say one of those, and then say, no negative energies, influences, thought forms, or anything else negative may enter this space. Just say something like that, just to be really careful. And then at the end of your seance, I forgot to tell you, which was incredibly stupid of me, blow out your candles and stuff, and you can use those for the next seance. You can use them again because you're going to probably contact the same person. Use them again, don't waste them. Let your incense and stuff burn out, get rid of the water. And then sage the fuck out of your house. Because you opened a portal while you were calling them in, and you might have called anybody in. You can never be 100% sure that it was that person, and you certainly cannot be sure that it was only that person. Okay? You can be 99.999 sure. That's not enough, especially if you've got children, you've got other people living with you, especially children. You need to go ahead and cleanse your house out. What I did was I just tore the rest of my sage bundle up, heated up a charcoal disc, lit the bundle, and then had the disc hot, put the lit bundle on top of the lit disc, and cleansed my entire home. It needed it anyway. Opened the windows, blasted some positive witchy music, did that, and then while I was doing that, I'm sure my neighbors heard me because the door was open, which I don't really care. But I said, okay, the session is closed. I need all spirits to leave. Mom, if you would like to stay, you are welcome, but everyone else needs to leave. I command you to leave at once. And I was very forceful, yelled that, got whatever else had came possibly in with her out, and did that. And all you need for that is sage and authority. Okay? If you have fucked around and somehow gotten possessed, you're going to need to contact some organization. I suggest Black Witch Coven because they have the best prices for pretty much everything. But if you need to have a ghost removal service or something, you're going to be paying at least a couple or a few $1,000s to get rid of that. So be careful when you're fucking around with the other side. If you are a newbie, if you're going to do this, please make sure you have experienced people with you. If you're a beginner, you need a medium. If you are, under 18 years old, do not do this, especially in your parents' home and you have siblings, because something's going to go down and you can't pay for it. I do have a video on my channel called When Things Go Bad, When Things Go Wrong. Check it out because it's got some things in it too. That might help you if this happens, but hopefully it won't. And it won't if you say what I told you to say at the beginning. And then sage the shit out of your place and yourself at the end. Now, to the crazy part. So this is, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. I didn't look it up. I didn't want to cheat. But it's Yuza, Y-U-Z-A, oil. And there's a ritual that goes with it. This ritual is useful for the mediums and seances. The oil is. It's useful for conjuring the dead. And get this, it's also useful for controlling the dead. So if you wanted to use this mixture to do as an incense instead of an oil and have that, as whatever to call the spirits for during a communication session, you could, but you would not. I don't feel like especially if it was your loved one, you would not try to control them, but you can. I'm going to tell you what you can do. But you can use these ingredients to help you bring them into your space. So anyway, what you can do with them, if you choose to use this oil to control them, when you have them under your control, what you would do is you would send them to haunt someone or have them help you with something. So you can use those ingredients in oil or incense. If I was going to take this list of ingredients and make them an incense, I would add myrrh, some mugwort, some wormwood, and some mullein. Okay? That's what I would put in my incense. Just those things. If you wanted to add all this stuff, you would, but I feel like those are tied to bringing over the dead instead of just controlling them. But if you want to control them, you're going to have to make the oil. So what you need for equal parts of cypress wood, what that is for is it connects you. Not you, but it just connects to the spirit realm and the underworld. So cypress wood, and you have to have all of these. I saw this recipe several places, and you can't substitute anything for the oil if you want to control the dead. So you're going to use myrrh. It raises the spiritual vibrations for easier communication, and also it offers you the protection. You're going to use asafoetida, and if you do decide to put that in incense, it stinks, okay? Just so you know, it stinks in the oil too, but it really stinks if you burn it. That's why I made the extra little incense recipe for you, so you don't puke. Anytime you're doing spiritual work, you want to work with wormwood. Wormwood is ideal for calling spirits. So even if you just wanted to put some wormwood in your cauldron as you were yelling during your seance to try to get your loved one to come to you, that's what you could burn that instead of traditional incense. Mullein is used to command the spirits, and use them for dark magic. So be careful. And then you have galangal or galangal. I don't know how to pronounce that before. I've never used it because it's used also to control the dead. So be careful, be careful, be careful. And before you start the ritual for this, you would go ahead and you would use this. You would use something to cleanse first, just like I said the first time. Don't use sage. Okay, for this you could use mugwort or any of the things I said in the first part of the video, not sage, because it's going to confuse them and they're not going to show up. So the oil, what it does is it connects you to the world of the dead, and it gives you the power to see them coming. It gives you power to communicate with them and to actually see the spirit. Okay, so you can sense, and it sense them coming, not see them coming, but you can see them. So they're technically both true. So you can see them, you can connect with them, communicate with them, and that normally does not happen, but this oil supposedly gives you the powers to do that. So what you can do when you're communicating with the spirits while having control over them. And you can send them to do your bidding, whatever that may be. So if you're wanting to do that on Beltane, go for it. It's not considered white magic. It's actually pretty far down the left-hand path, and it's branching off of necromancy, because really a type of necromancy, because you are controlling the dead. Okay, so here's the ritual if you're still interested. And I feel like this would be fun to do at Samhain if, like, I had somebody I really hated, which I actually do right now, have a bitch that's got something coming toward her. I just can't figure out if I want to do it mundanely or magically. I'm trying to figure it out, but I will this summer, and I'm going to let you guys know what I do to her and what happens. But anyway, so to make spirits haunt a specific location, this is the ritual. You're going to need the oil exactly like it is, okay? I'm not even going to talk about the incense. Those are optional. You can use them to help call the dead toward you, or just wormwood. So what you're going to do, you're going to place a few drops of the oil in 4 corners of the room or place and you will also draw an X in the center of the room to cross the location. Then you're ready to call out the ghosts and dark spirits to come and inhabit this place. This oil compels them to come while giving you commanding power over them. So that's how you bring them to a location. But how hard would that be to do in your enemy's house, right? So you'd have to be really careful doing that. You might could do it to their yard, but I don't know how effective that would be. So you can do this. This is another ritual. This is the cursing ritual. And I didn't make any of this up. I got all this offline. You can cause a specific target to be haunted by a ghost. First, what you need to do, you need to go over to the graveyard, whichever one you work with the most, or if you know a crazy serial killer died and is buried there, use that one. If you hate this person enough to do this to them. So, and I would have a white candle burning the entire time I was doing any of this type of shit. So anyway, so what you're going to do, you're going to locate that grave. And remember, when you're in the graveyard, you need to cover your head, okay? And make sure you bring an offering. So after you locate that grave of the spirit, and you want a nasty spirit, so try to find people that weren't the best in life. The people that, did mean stuff, because you want them to do mean shit to the person you hate, right? Because you're cursing them. So you will take some graveyard dirt off of that grave specifically, okay? Then what you're going to do, you're going to anoint a black candle with the oil, and then you're going to do, optionally, the incense. Then you're going to take the dirt and the oil and the cauldron with the incense on a charcoal disc. Take the oil and cauldron with incense on a charcoal disc, and then take some of the graveyard dirt. Sorry guys, my handwriting looks terrible on the bottom of this paper. I can't read what the hell I wrote. You can take some graveyard dirt and instruct that spirit to follow the dirt. Okay? So while you're at the graveyard, you're going to have the incense going, the oil rubbed on a candle going, and then you're going to talk to that spirit, and you're going to instruct them and command them, because you have that oil. It's supposed to be able to command them, right? So you're going to tell them, I want you to go to follow this dirt, and then where I leave this dirt, I want you to haunt this person. And you can even give them some instructions They might do everything, they might not, but tell them some stuff you might want them to do. Do you want them to just, instead of hurting them, just hide their car keys every day for 6 months? Do you want them to scare the shit out of them every night? What do you want them to do? So think about that before you send them on their way, and make sure you really want to do this, because this kind of stuff is not your safest form of magic. So after you've instructed them to follow the dirt, what you are going to do, you're going to leave the offering and say thank you. Make sure you do that. And then when you're ready, you're going to add some of the oil to the dirt. And then you're going to mix that together. And then you're going to place the dirt near the home. Now, you probably can't get into the home of the person. If you can, maybe you're frenemies with somebody, or you just found out that they did something they shouldn't have done, but you're still friends enough to where you're invited to their house, then do this there. Otherwise, use their yard. And I would do the front yard, and if I could do the backyard, I would do that too. I would put some in their driveway. I even sprinkle some on their car. So you can do whatever you want. And if you try this and you're not embarrassed, DM me on Twitter and let me know how it goes. I don't know if I'm going to do this to someone, but I might. So we'll figure it out. But those two things are, I guess they're technically, I said more than two things, but mainly seances and this use a ritual. Use these on Beltane when the veils are thin. You can also use them during Samhain. You can use them anytime, but they're most effective when the veils are thin. And I think that's all I have. And blessed be. I'll come back tomorrow with another one. Like, subscribe, and share.